Hello, my beloved friends. So, I welcome you again in the love and the light of the one Creator. And today, I channel the Pleiadians to query about how would they, if they were incarnated on earth as humans like us, how would they manifest love? And they have explained in detail how the system of love works. They have explained about soul contracts. They explain about twin flames. They explain about soulmates and all of this stuff. Okay, in this session is actually a bit detailed, and it has everything you need to know about how to manifest love. Because as per the previous poll which I had done on my community tab on my channel, you had requested to understand how to manifest love in our planet. So they have explained that, and also they have explained a love story. Okay, I also wanted to ask them if they can tell you know a love story from their planet, because we have always heard love stories from our planet. So I wanted to ask about a love story from their planet, from the Pleiadian planet, and they have told a love story in the second half of this session, which I found was almost like like similar to our planetary sphere, but with a little bit differences in the way they communicate and stuff. And yeah, this session was really like I learned so much from this session regarding how love works, how soul contracts they play a role in attracting our soulmate, and how what is the basic of attraction. They have explained everything in detail, and after the session I will see you. I'll explain it to you as far as I understand. So here is the session, after which I will explain.
We are the Pleiadians, and we greet you in the love and the light of the One Creator. Furthermore, we are here to share with you our thoughts and insights without infringing upon your free will. We are here to share our thoughts, and you have the free will to reject or accept any information we may provide. Furthermore, please understand that we will offer you the truth without any proof. Which is the best way for each of you to hear our message and retain what resonates and learn and be inspired from the information if you so desire. Today, this instrument has requested to understand what would we do if we incarnated on earth in order to manifest love. There is an error in the query placed by this instrument because this query is not specific enough. However, upon scanning the mind complex of this instrument, we can judge that it wants to understand how to manifest attraction and love of the opposite sex by each entity, whether it be a woman body complex or a man body complex on your planet. In this regard, let us share with you what we understand. In your planetary sphere, because of the veil of forgetfulness, many people do not yet understand who they are and where they come from. And also, if we were to incarnate on this third density illusion, we would have to go through the veil of forgetfulness that exists until the onset of the full fourth density consciousness. That has yet some time to occur on your planets. Let us tell you that the people on your planet, many of them already understand the polarization that is necessary for attraction, as known in your planetary sphere, to take place. In order for a man who desires a feminine woman would be to display qualities that of a masculine aspect, which includes the qualities such as having facial hair, deeper voice, and showing the aspect of confidence and leadership, and furthermore having the variation of its own opinion independent of influence from other entities. These are the qualities required for a mind, body, and spirit complex on your planet. And let us tell you that for a woman body complex, in order to attract a masculine man, complex would require to display qualities opposites to masculinity, that include qualities of femininity and include qualities of following the leader. In this case, would be the masculine man, and showing or displaying feminine qualities such as high-pitched voice and other feminine aspects, such as delicate qualities and features of feminine physical vehicle. This is the normal process of attraction that is occurring on your planetary sphere. However, many people on your planet already have the knowledge of these systems. The next complex dispersion that may occur on your planetary sphere is that of soul contracts. Because many of the twin flames and the soulmates, they have already existing soul contracts. Hence, if certain entities do not have soul contracts or create new soul contracts, no matter how much the attraction system may trigger the primal attraction switches, these two souls will not have a long-term so-called relationship in your language terms, and will only have this when they encounter a soulmate with whom it has made certain soul contracts. Also, soulmates may be many in number incarnated into the same incarnation. Furthermore, also, please understand that there are many other situations wherein entities who are similar in qualities desire to attract mates or soulmates who are of a similar physical vehicle, such as a woman desirous of another woman. In this regard, the same principles of masculine and feminine balance must be present, because without a masculine and a feminine polarization, there cannot be an existence of a balancing relationship on your planetary sphere. These are the rules of love and attraction as we know from your planetary sphere. Furthermore, there can be instances wherein some entities may use the methods of using light energy to create new soul contracts with entities they desire with their own free will. Because there is free will on your planets, and if two entities who are desirous of creating a new soul contract can do so using light energy and by constantly triggering the sexual contact with each other, this would create the required new soul contract for each to continue their relation cycle. Now, let us tell you an example behind your second query placed by this instrument regarding an example of a so-called love story from our planetary sphere. Let us tell you a so-called love story between a male mind-body complex and a female mind-body complex on an equivalent level of that found on your planetary time-space consciousness, of that of the later third density consciousness merging into the beginning phases of the fourth density consciousness. These two entities were in our Alcyone star system that existed and began to interact with each other. And by using means of non-verbal communication, started to interact with each other, sharing emotions. Because in our planetary sphere, there is no specific language, we only share thought forms, and they started sharing thought forms of love on a daily basis. Even though they used to live on separate, distant places, there used to be a telepathic link between the two, and they had built a bond. And when they were communicating with each other, they felt very happy, and all the negative emotions were washed away. One day, the female mind complex tried to communicate with the mind body spirit complex of the male entity and did not receive any reply. That was most unusual for this entity. This entity tried again but failed, and finally, this entity known as a female tried to communicate again, but did not receive any answer to its communication, and an entire day passed, and the male entity was not available through thought form communications. The female entity started becoming worried that something had gone wrong. Then the second day came and went away with no communication. And the female entity could not sleep and stayed up all night, feeling the emotion of sadness as known by your people. Then the female entity realized within its own being that it had developed an intense connection with the male entity. The next morning, this entity received a thought form communication that was from the male entity, and this entity became happy. As soon as this communication was received, the male and the female entity started to communicate. However, the male entity cut the communication short as if something had gone wrong. And the female entity began to understand that something was not right. And the male entity then communicated again mentally and then stated that they should stop communicating altogether. The female entity became shocked as to why this male entity had been stating such a fact, and the male entity said goodbye for the last time. The female entity then started feeling the emotions of crying and began to produce enzymes from its so-called physical vehicle that emerge when entities begin to cry on our planetary sphere. Then this female entity decided that it would try to approach this male entity one last time. And then this entity went to this male entity's home in order to meet this male entity. However, on the way, this female entity was struck by an energy strike that is common on your planet, similar to the lightning strikes found on your planetary sphere. This entity then almost crossed over as its physical vehicle was hurt really badly. Then this male entity, after hearing about this incident, reached over to the female entity that had been kept in a place of restoration and healing. This male entity asked the female entity if it was okay. The male entity felt very sorry for this fact that it was the reason behind the current condition of the female entity. In addition, the female entity asked why did you do that and leave me to the male entity. The male entity replied that it had been suffering from a disease and it was going to cross over soon. Hence, it did not want this girl entity to feel sad. After hearing this, the girl entity never woke up again, and both of them crossed over and later united on the astral planes. Therefore, beloved, this is an example of a love story from our planetary sphere. And we, the Pleiadians, leave you now. See you again.
So, my friends, after watching the session, I hope you understand that there are many like they have stated that there are not only one soulmate incarnated on earth, okay. There are multiple soulmates incarnated at the same time, and furthermore they have also stated that there are soul contracts already in place with certain people, okay. And with those people, if we meet those people, then we will have a high likelihood of having a long term relationship, because if there is no soul contract already existing, then I believe those are the type of relationship which become like casual hookup type of relationship, where people, they hook up for a short time and then they are not able to maintain a long term relationship. And also they have explained to us how our attraction system works, okay. This, I found this really really interesting. They have said that it is based on polarization, okay. In our planet, there is the masculine and there is the female polarization. So all relationships, even in relationships which are which have female to female or male to male, or in normal relationships such as male to female relationships, this balance, one must be masculine and one must be feminine. This has been explained, okay. So for the masculine, they have said the qualities such as having beards. They said having beards, okay, it's funny, beards, and having a deep voice. They said deep voice, and they said being a leader and having own opinion. These are the qualities that need to be displayed by the masculine in order to attract the feminine, okay. And the feminine, they said females, they need to have a high pitched voice, and they need to be, I guess they need to be they need to have female qualities, like feminine kind of qualities. And these two, when they meet, will balance each other, creating a wonderful relationship. This is what they said in the session. And I believe this is also the reason why we are not able to properly attract another person, because whenever we want to attract another person, and when we are trying to attract another person, we do not really understand whether the person has a masculine or a feminine quality. So I believe firstly we need to understand, if we want to attract someone, we need to firstly understand whether they have a masculine or a feminine quality, okay. And based on that, we need to display the opposite, as far as what the Pleiadians said, okay, in order to attract such a person. So I hope this session helped a lot, and also the story was really fascinating. I'll give you a brief breakdown, okay, of the story. They said that there was a boy and a girl entity, okay, who were in love, and they were communicating using thought forms, and they were in thought form communication with each other. And one day what happened was that this boy entity suddenly stopped communicating, and this girl entity felt sad as to why the boy had stopped. So this girl entity tried to communicate again and again, and this boy entity finally said that we should not communicate. And this girl entity then went to this boy entity's home and then asked as to what was happening, okay. But on the way this entity was hit by a lightning strike. So this entity almost crossed over, and this entity was on a healing chamber, wherein this boy entity then came over and came over and met this girl entity and asked her what had happened. And the boy entity found out that lightning strike had hit her and she was about to die. And the girl entity also asked as to why the boy entity had left her in the beginning, right? So the boy entity said that he was suffering from a disease and he was about to cross over. That is why he did not want her to feel sad. So I believe this is a great story. And finally they met in the astral plane. Yeah, it was really fascinating to hear that. And thank you so much everyone for watching the video. I send you all love and light. And by the way, thank you all for supporting on Patreon. Also, I'm putting new uncensored videos, almost on a daily basis regarding the thing and other things which I cannot talk on my YouTube page, because Patreon we can put anything it seems. And thank you so much. See you again.